Agriculture Minister, but he's one of those rare members of the cabinet who's not scared to share his opinion with the people or to speak his mind freely. So what does he think of the past 17 months? What are the weaknesses he's identified, and what needs to be done to put them right? Here to tackle these important questions is the Minister for Agriculture, Chaturanan Mishra. Mr. Mishra, as I said, I want to talk to you about the big picture, talk to you as a minister who's got the courage to speak his mind and to speak openly. Are you happy with the last 17 months of United Front government?
Happy word is such thing that you can't say immediately yes or no. But the main thing is, if you compared it with the Congress government, then definitely it is a better government, in the sense that there has been some policy changes in the interest of the people and in the interest of the nation.
But what about in its own right? Its own right, are you happy with the functioning of the UF?
No, this is a coalition government. And we can say that coalition government in real sense, this is the first time that we have started. And coalition, so that is why I am suggesting to our friends that we should develop that culture. Only then there will be more smooth functioning of the government.
I'll tell you why I asked this question. Recently, the Congress Working Committee passed a resolution criticizing the government for being rudderless, for drifting, for not functioning satisfactorily. You were perhaps the only minister who wrote to Chandrababu Naidu and said, let's take these criticisms seriously. You obviously believed that there was some merit and truth in what the Congress was saying.
Yes, there were some criticism which I think was correct. That is, the export were falling. Industrial growth was going down. These are the things, this is correct. We should go by it and have action plan to solve this problem. I have written to Mr. Naidu also. But other parts of the criticism is not at all correct.
You also in your letter to Mr. Naidu said that quite often the 13, 14, 15 members of the United Front sound as if they're quarreling with each other. The parties often publicly criticize each other, even call each other names.
That is why I have suggested that there should be code of conduct. Again, I come to the point that there should be coalition culture. That is in still a formative stage.
Tell me about this code of conduct. What sort of code of conduct would you like?
Code of conduct that generally the coalition parties should not attack the ministers by name or the parties concerned by name. But they can have friendly criticism. If you have to make criticism, you make suggestion that these things should be done. Not do it that such and such is the agent of multinational or this, that. That language should not be used.
Now, it's interesting you should use that phrase. This example is usually the left criticizing either Mr. Chidambaram or Mr. Maran, isn't it?
Not necessarily.
One of the divides that to the outside looks as if it breaks up this government is the divide over economic issues. There are the left parties that are left-wing, and then there are people like Mr. Chidambaram, Mr. Maran, Mr. Ramaiah, who clearly are more right-wing.
This is not my experience in the cabinet. Mr. Maran is the man who helped us and the whole country in reviving the 10 public sector units. I don't know why people say that Maran is against the public sector.
But he did it by giving them greater autonomy, by greater independence, by reducing one of the classic things the left believes in, which is centrist control.
No, central control is something else. In the change situation, how to function the public sector profitably, it must be competitive. It must know the market, rule of the market. Market-oriented units can only exist. It was lacking in the past in the public sector. If somebody is correcting it, he should not be blamed for that.
But this is very interesting. You're a communist and you're talking about the need for accepting market orientation. This is new. It's a new language.
Maybe to some extent. But that was a mistake committed by us in the past. So I think...
Tell me more. When you say that was the mistake committed in the past, what are you talking about?
if you go on subsidizing the price of everything, you don't care for the quality and the choice of the consumers, then what will happen? Just tell me. So in the past, the public sectors were starved of capital and did not go to the primary issue market for getting money. That is a mistake committed by them.
So you would like to see the public sector behave in a more market-oriented form?
Yes, and some of them are doing, and they are getting a better name. BHEL is doing it, even in technology and other things. The cooperative sector, IFCO, CRIBCO, they are doing better than many of the
Are you
private
also saying that you would like the public sector to be less dependent upon government handouts and subsidies and more capable of standing on its own feet?
Subsidies should not be in a wrong way.
So they should be carefully thought out?
Yes.
And they should be applied with judicious thinking.
Right you are.
Now that is, for a communist, quite a change in position, isn't it?
I don't think that should have been the earlier thinking also.
You see, a lot of the other left members, I won't take names, but a lot of the other left members of the government, and some of those supporting the government from outside, don't use your language. They don't talk about market orientation. They don't talk about reform.
But I find communist chief ministers also going abroad and inviting foreign multinationals. So why do you say that I am alone?
I perhaps am talking not about communist chief ministers, I'm talking more about communist general secretaries.
But I told you, they are the big people. I'm a small fry.
Let me, because I can see you're clearly in a good, honest frame of mind. Let me put it bluntly. Do you think that some of your colleagues in the left were correct in the way they protested against, spoke out against the budget, or some of Mr. Chidambaram's intended reforms like the Insurance Act? Do you think the manner of their protest, public criticism, even holding dharnas and demonstrations was the correct way to do it?
No, protest can be there. There is nothing wrong. If the government is doing something wrong, citizens have the right to protest. What I want that the coalition partner should suggest or criticize in a friendly way. The opposition can attack from any point of view. It is up to them.
What you're also saying is that coalition partners are at the moment not criticizing in a friendly way.
Sometimes it so happens. Sometimes it comes in the press like that.
Can you give me an example of what you're talking about?
What is the use of naming anybody when I am against naming? So why name anybody?
Okay. I'm going back to the letter you wrote to Mr. Chandrababu Naidu. You said we should take these criticisms seriously and we should discuss them. Do you sometimes have the feeling that some of the members of this coalition do not appreciate their political dependence upon Congress support and therefore are not prepared to accommodate the Congress viewpoint?
यानी जहाँ तक पॉलिसी मैटर में एकोमोडेट करने का क्वेश्चन है, we should discuss and thrash it out.
With the Congress?
Congress also or anybody else. आपको हम तो दूसरे से भी कह रहे हैं. Now the patent bill is there. Can you carry it on in the parliament without the consent of the members of parliament? That cannot be done.
मगर काफी आपके कॉलीग्स हैं जो कांग्रेस के साथ कंसल्ट नहीं करना चाहते. हमेशा उनको कहा जाता है, इनकार करते हैं.
कांग्रेस भी तो उनके साथ नहीं जाना चाहेगी. नहीं तो कंट्रडिक्शन है. जिन राज्यों में ये हमारे पार्टनर्स लेफ्ट और नॉन लेफ्ट पार्टीज हैं, बंगाल में लेफ्ट पार्टीज है, केरला में, त्रिपुरा में, उनके की लड़ाई किससे है? कांग्रेस से. और कांग्रेस की लड़ाई किससे है? कम्युनिस्टों से. इसी तरह से तेलुगु देशम का
बात समझ गया जी आपकी. आप ये कह रहे हैं कि for some members of the coalition accommodating Congress is very difficult.
Very difficult. Congress, not only for the coalition members, for Congress also it is very difficult.
Okay, then tell me something. United Front की मीटिंग तो हो चुकी है. Did they take the Congress criticism seriously at that steering committee meeting?
I was not in that meeting.
But
so
you must know about it.
I am knowing something has been taken note of.
But were you satisfied with the way it was taken note of?
It will take time, I told you. We are yet developing the coalition culture, but you want me immediately to.
No, it doesn't sound
It is
as
not
if
a
you...
factory. It is not a mechanical.
Let me read to you what your colleague, Mr. D. Raja, said. He was at that steering committee meeting and he said, "We just meet. We do not discuss anything. Everyone is in a hurry and everything is kept waiting for the next meeting."
That may be, but something they have decided in that meeting. The committee was formed about below poverty line people to be given food grains.
जी, लेकिन डिसीजन एक बार फिर पोस्टपोन किया गया था।
अरे भाई, तो डिस्कशन कैसे आप समझते हैं कि एक ही बार हो ही जाएगा?
सारे अखबारों में लिखा कि कांग्रेस के बारे में चर्चा हुई नहीं, बीजेपी को गालियां दी गई, मगर कांग्रेस की जो CWC रेजोल्यूशन थी उस पे जो डिस्कशन आप चाहते थे वो हुआ नहीं।
अगर अखबारों ने ये लिखा है तो इट इम्प्लाइज बीजेपी को गाली दिया जो आप कह रहे हैं और कांग्रेस को नहीं दिया, तो डोंट यू सी द डिफरेंस? आस्क दोज एडिटर्स टू थिंक अबाउट दिस।
तो मुझे एक और चीज बताइए, इज सिंपली रिफ्रेनिंग फ्रॉम क्रिटिसाइजिंग कांग्रेस इनफ? व्हाट अबाउट सेल्फ
लेट देयर बी बिगिनिंग? नो नो, आई एम टेलिंग यू देयर वाज डिफरेंस. द मीडिया शुड हैव नोटेड इट, बट देन देयर आर स्पेसिफिक पॉइंट्स दैट आर टू बी addressed by the government.
Tell me about those. Speak openly and tell me about
I
those
have
points.
told you, I have written my letter, there is nothing secret, that the slow industrial growth, the slow industrial export, all these things must be addressed seriously. The country needs it.
What would you like the government to... Yes.
No, no, but the criticism of the government by the congressman, that this government has succumbed to trade union pressure. Maybe to some extent it may be right. But I tell you, this government has not succumbed to multinationals. This is the difference.
Let's come to this important point. Where has this government, in your opinion, succumbed to trade union pressure?
No, no, I say that what they have stated.
You said it may be right. So where is it right?
The alternative, we have settled the pay commission thing. There was to be a strike.
Do you think the government paid too much? Do you think it gave in too easily?
Paid to whom? To our own citizens. They should work better instead of inviting lockout, as it has happened in Bihar.
Okay.
Central government should not lock out.
You began this bit by saying that the Congress criticism about economic performance, declining industrial growth and declining export growth
should be addressed seriously.
But what you're also saying is that you would like the government to pay more determined attention.
Yes, yes, surely.
तो आप कह रहे हैं कि अभी काफी attention नहीं दे रहे?
नहीं, और भी देना है।
ये attention क्यों नहीं दिया जा रहा? ये मुझे समझाइए।
इसमें टाइम लगता है ना।
सिर्फ टाइम लगता है या पॉलिटिक्स में आपकी सरकार का attention डिस्ट्रैक्ट हो रहा है?
नहीं, ये जो
टाइम लगता है या विल पावर लगता है?
नहीं, आपको बता रहे हैं, क्लैरिटी नहीं है। हम आपसे कह रहे हैं, हम तो एग्रीकल्चर मिनिस्टर हैं, हम वही कम्युनिस्ट हैं जो पहले थे। तो अब हम जब आकर के देखते हैं तो हमारे सामने में बहुत क्लियर है कि बिग चेंज इन पॉलिसी मैटर इज नीडेड इन एग्रीकल्चर, जो हम पहले रियलाइज नहीं करते थे। अब हम अपने कलीग से कहते हैं कि न्यू सिचुएशन।
So you're saying, like agriculture, you need greater clarity of thinking in the government?
Yes, yes, certainly.
Mishra ji, we have to take a quick commercial break here because the ads are waiting to come on screen, but I want to come back in part 2 and talk to you about this clarity that's needed. Don't go away. We'll be back in just a couple of minutes to continue this conversation with the Agriculture Minister. Welcome back to part 2 of our interview with the Agriculture Minister. Mishra ji, in part 1 you said that the government needs more clarity of thinking. What sort of clarity are you talking about? And in what areas?
इसको तो डिफरेंट एरियाज में देखना होगा, इंडस्ट्री में, कल्चर में, डिफरेंट पार्ट्स। चूँकि समय कम है, इसलिए हम एक दो बिंदुओं की चर्चा करते हैं। औद्योगिक क्षेत्र में या पब्लिक सेक्टर के क्षेत्र, अभी तक पब्लिक सेक्टर के क्षेत्र में ये मानसिकता न सरकार की है और न हमारे ट्रेड यूनियंस की है और इंटेलेक्चुअल्स की भी नहीं है कि नए ढंग से पब्लिक सेक्टर को चलाने के लिए, जैसा कि मैंने आपसे पहले कहा, मार्केट के नियम को मानना जरूरी होगा। तभी पब्लिक सेक्टर अच्छा कर सकता है। इंडस्ट्री के क्षेत्र में अगर प्राइवेट सेक्टर का लीजिएगा, अभी तक वो सिर्फ प्रॉफिट की बात करते थे, अपने हक की बात करते थे। उनको समझना पड़ेगा कि उनका मुकाबला करना है विदेशी कंपनियों से, मल्टीनेशनल कंपनी से, जो कहीं ज़्यादा सुसज्जित हैं तमाम हथियारों से बनिस्बत के हमारे। इसलिए हमको नए ढंग से काम करने के लिए एक नया तरीका निकालना पड़ेगा। सरकार को इस बारे में ऐसी नीति अख्तियार करनी पड़ेगी कि इंडस्ट्री से ज़्यादा कोऑपरेशन मिले। इंडस्ट्री को पहले की जो नीति थी उसको त्यागना होगा।
मोदी साहब, आप ये भी कह रहे थे पहले कि कंट्री को नई एग्रीकल्चरल पॉलिसी के बारे में भी सोचना पड़ेगा।
ये भी सही है। देखिए, एग्रीकल्चर के बारे में सभी कहते हैं कि बहुत महत्वपूर्ण है, लेकिन एग्रीकल्चर में हमारे पास में अभी इस देश के अंदर में जिसको ग्रीन रिवॉल्यूशन करते हैं, वो ओनली 30% ऑफ द कंट्रीज के क्रॉप एरिया में, 70% पड़ा हुआ है। किसी गवर्नमेंट आज तक सोचा ही नहीं कि 70% के लिए हम क्या करें।
What do you propose to do for them?
हमारा कहना है कि उनको भी सिंचाई का इंतजाम करें, वहाँ भी हम फर्टिलाइज़र पहुँचा दें, वहाँ भी उनके लिए हम उन्नत बीज दें, क्रेडिट का इंतजाम करें।
मोदी साहब, कहने की तो ये बातें बिल्कुल सही हैं। आप कह रहे हैं कि we need new thinking and the government should be the one to produce it. But then look at this government. There are 15 different parties with different ideologies, different constituencies, different interests. How are you going to produce one clear line of thought?
If the media helps, I don't think they will help adequately. If the intellectuals think over it, and first of all, if the farmers rise to the occasion, there is no power in India which can stop this. They will have to think in a new way.
Mishra Saab, let me give you an example. On paper, all 15 members of your coalition are dedicated to the women's reservation bill. On paper, you're all committed to liberalization of the insurance sector. Both of these are part of your common minimum program. The bills have failed in the Lok Sabha.
No, this can be said only about the women's bill. You see, that is separate question has arisen. Those who want reservation for the backward OBC, they want to use this occasion. That is why we could not succeed in women's bill despite the agreed thing in the common minimum program. You are right. But about insurance, what is written in the common program and what the people have in mind, the country is open to being open to multinational insurance company. They want certain protection. So perhaps our people are not realizing fully about this, those who criticize.
When you say our people, do you mean our people in the government or do you mean our people outside the government?
Those who criticize us, I told you, I qualified it. Our people who criticize us, they are not realizing this. They will realize when the insurance companies are bitten.
You're not accepting my point that the lines of division, the lines of ideological difference mean it's impossible. Let me put it even more simply. How can the United Front function unitedly when Mr. Gujral cannot get on with Mr. Devagowda, when Mr. Surjit cannot see eye to eye with Mr. Mupanath, when Mr. Sharad Yadav and Mr. Lalu Yadav have torn the Janata Dal apart? When you have these basic personality differences, how can you unite?
No. What united them in the beginning?
Dislike of Congress and dislike of BJP.
No, but the Congress supported them. Where was the dislike?
I
tell you, Mr. Devagowda talked to Congress several times, more times than any other
Your
party
colleague, Home Minister Indrajit Gupta, is on record telling us in an interview in April that Mr. Devagowda did not talk enough.
No, that is in the latter part you are saying. So when the situation and when the relation deteriorated, then he said about that, not in the beginning. In the beginning,
are you really telling me that you have overcome the personality problems in your party?
How can it cannot be overcome this way? It was never in the world overcome this way. It will take time.
How long? How much time have you got?
We have got enough of time to develop our democracy in this country in a new way.
No, I'm talking about this government. You don't have that much time.
I tell you, government may come and government may go. Why you are so serious about this?
Shouldn't we be serious about
No,
the
not at all. Public will again throw out some other parties to come up. But so far this government is concerned, it is working correctly or not, that you should see to it. And if you see the 13 parties, why they are not uniting? Why they are...
If you want me to see to it, let me ask you a simple question. अगर मैं सीधा सवाल पूछूं, आप मुझे खुला आंसर देंगे?
ये हम कैसे जानते? क्वेश्चन आपने खुला पूछा ही नहीं तो जवाब कैसे खुला?
Relations between Mr. Gujral and Mr. Devagowda, what you would like them to be?
अच्छा, may I ask you one thing?
नहीं, जवाब दीजिएगा.
हम जवाब ही दे रहे हैं इसी का क्वेश्चन के फॉर्म में. ये ममता बनर्जी का और केसरी जी का जितना संबंध अच्छा है उससे बुरा संबंध है देवगौड़ा और इनमें.
सीधे क्यों नहीं कहते कि जिनका संबंध तो अच्छा ही नहीं है?
ना तो हम तो आपको पता, आपने पूछा.
Mr. Kesri and Ms. Banerjee get on very badly. Will you now accept that Mr. Gujral and Mr.
Why should I say whether badly or not badly?
The point... I
am telling you, it is the part of the political life in the country. Everywhere it so happens. इसमें नयापन क्या है सो बताइए हमको. कभी कभी पार्टीज के बीच में झगड़ा होता है, व्यक्तिगत भी होता है, पर्सनैलिटी क्लैश होता है. These are part of the democratic system in the world.
This seems to be the major part of this particular democratic experiment in India.
Not so. I tell you.
Not so?
Take time. Yes, it will take time.
My last question.
Don't be impatient.
My last question.
Let this coalition thing, coalition culture develop.
My last question. I have been hearing this phrase, let this coalition culture develop for 17 months. I must have heard it from 17 different ministers. 17 months later, the coalition culture is still developing. I put it to you that this particular coalition, with 15 different parties, 15 different interests, 15 different ideologies, can never get together unitedly. ये जो आपके झगड़े हैं, this is just part of the system and it will always stay like that.
अच्छा, कभी आप हमको दुनिया में कोई उदाहरण दे सकते हैं कि 15 पार्टी ने मिलकर सरकार बनाई और चलाई?
और मैं बताऊं कि ऐसी सरकार पहले कहाँ क्यों नहीं हुई? Because it's a near impossibility.
मैंने जब आप दुनिया में कहीं नहीं हुई थी और उसको हमने कर दिखाया है, तो बजाय इसके कि आपने अच्छा किया है, आप इस पर करें कि हो ही नहीं सकता है. हमने तो करके दिखला दिया कि 15 को.
नहीं, मैं कह रहा हूँ कि गिनेस बुक ऑफ रिकॉर्ड की अचीवमेंट तो आपकी बन गई पूरी, पर जो सरकार ने काम करना था वहाँ पे आप रह गए अधूरे.
आप हमको बता दीजिए ना कि पिछली सरकार, कांग्रेस की सरकार से ये अच्छी फंक्शनिंग सरकार की है कि नहीं, पॉलिसी मैटर.
Is that all you want to achieve in life, is to be a little better than Congress? Is that all?
That is the first thing, because you people are saying something against coalition and favoring one party rule and one idea, monolithic thing. You people are crying for that. I say despite these weaknesses, this government is much better than Congress.
अगर कांग्रेस राक्षस आपके पीठे पीछे ना होता ना, तो आपको कहना ही पड़ता खुला कि जी मैं बिल्कुल अनहैप्पी हूँ. लेकिन क्योंकि कांग्रेस राक्षस आपको मिल गया, तो आपको बहाना भी मिल गया कहने का.
ये ठीक है, कांग्रेस और बीजेपी इस देश में नहीं रहती तो हमारी भी लैंग्वेज दूसरी होती है.
मंत्री साहब,
कोई जानता.
मंत्री साहब, we'll have to end this interview there and leave everyone to judge what they mean and what you mean by your smile.
Citizens are free to say so.
Thank you very much for speaking so openly to In Focus. That's it for this week. We'll be back next week with another interview, but for today, from the Agriculture Ministry in Krishi Bhavan, New Delhi, goodbye.